And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Filmation Spotlight, where we look at other non-He-Man, non-She-Ra Filmation properties. This has been a walk down memory lane, and
Oh boy.
as I watched episodes of this TV show,
Mm-hmm.
it became more and more clear that this is the earliest cartoon I remember watching growing up. Like I literally think that my brain spawned into existence sitting in front of an episode of Fat Albert and the Cosby Kids.
Well, I could say thousands and thousands of miles away. That was my childhood as well. Cosby, the show, Fat Albert, it was not just an American hit. This thing was a global phenomenon. And Jason, dare I say, it is up there. Obviously, I've got a bias, so I think the best Filmation series is, but this is pinnacle Filmation in regards to quality, regards to everything. I think this is Filmation on fire.
I'm right there with you. I usually watch old shows like this, and my first impression is, well, this is not as good as I remember it. But watching Fat Albert, I thought this show is high quality, not only in the character designs, because each one of these characters is unique. Each one of them is easily recognizable. Each one of them
Well
has their
defined.
own, yeah, each one of them has their own personality.
Yeah.
But the writing is just genuinely good. It's genuinely heartfelt. And we had a small discussion before we started, like, how are we going to approach the Bill Cosby situation? And you said, and I quote, we're going to separate the artist from the person. And so that's how we're going to proceed. Bill Cosby's a scumbag. He disappointed me. I've never been more disappointed in a public figure in my entire life than I was about
Yeah.
Bill Cosby, because growing up, Bill Cosby was most of my childhood. Not only Fat Albert, but I don't know if anybody remembers Picture Pages, where he'd come out and draw. I loved Picture Pages.
Didn't know about that, but I will say I'd be watching his cartoon in the morning and then watching his sitcom at night.
Yeah, so
Like the guy was mega. But we are going to separate the art from the artist. It is completely thing. And I would also like to say, even though it is Bill Cosby's idea, and it is a great idea, he was surrounded by some extremely smart people. The reason these scripts are so good is he had a team of high-ranking educators, psychologists, experts from all these other fields who helped structure these episodes, who helped decided what the lessons would be for each episode. So they didn't take this lightly. This wasn't a room full of 60-year-old men smoking on a typewriter coming up with the Cosby Show. These were well-educated, very smart people in their field, contributing to one of the most accessible cartoons around.
absolutely. I will also say that growing up in a very rural part of West Texas, the fact that I grew up, like, the first cartoon I remember watching was a cartoon completely made up of a black cast. And not only that, but a cast of characters who I absolutely loved and adored. I find that incredibly progressive for the early 80s.
Incredibly. And
Because these were all characters who lived in a place I did not live, who did not look like anybody I knew, because we had we had two people in the town that I lived in who were African American. They lived behind my grandmother's house, and they were both very elderly, and I barely remember them. Their names were Tom and Eunice, and I just remember they were the sweetest people ever, because I would just wander into their house and Eunice would give me cookies.
Well,
just wandered in like a wild animal, go, cookie. Here you go, honey.
For me, I'll be honest with you, as a kid, I never recognized as a kid, hey, they put black kids on TV. Like it didn't process it did when I got older and I understand more about race, that I understood the power of this show. But I remember at the time just going, this is a fun cartoon to watch and I like it. And I like, I think these guys are hilarious.
They
And
really are.
and the thing is, even as a kid, it never felt. And He-Man, like sometimes, even as a kid, felt like they were preaching to me with their little end thing. This always felt organic because the moral lesson was intrinsic to the story they were telling. And then if there were gaps of information, the brilliant thing was then cutting back to Bill Cosby, who would provide, well, some of the glue between the scenes, or explain that scene a bit more clearer to you on why they've got this problem. It made it just a very, again, that same word, engaging show for a kid.
So we looked at 3 episodes of this show. The very first episode was called Liar, I think. Lying. It was called Lying, and it was about somebody basically lying for attention. We all grew up with somebody like that. That's another thing. Yeah. Even though these were kids who didn't look like anybody I knew, who lived someplace I'd never been, they still touched on things that I understood, like
highly related.
Lying. They never come out and say you're lying and lying is wrong. No, it was basically you just saw the consequences of what happens to this kid, and the consequences are he's humiliated because his lies end up falling apart. It's organic, like you said.
And the brilliant thing is they don't actually call that kid bad.
No.
They go out of their way not to judge that kid. They just explain the situation and the consequences. And I always thought that was kind of handled really well.
I agree.
And you know what was weird about a pilot episode? They don't bother spending time. This is this character. This is that character. No, you just jump in. You're in an episode and you'll catch up as we go along. And we do, as an audience, catch up very quickly on what the deal is. Because just the first episode, you got to, there's a hierarchy in the Fat Albert gang. You know what I mean? Like,
which one is Fat Albert? I don't know. Is it the kid with the hat over his head? Is that Fat Albert? I don't know. It's so confusing.
But look at the choices of those characters and ways they went. Were like Mushmouth.
Yeah.
Like, just going out of their way to highlight somebody who's just a little bit different. And maybe you can't understand him, but it doesn't make him any different than the rest of them. It's great.
Yeah, you'd never get away with this cartoon these days. I mean, they'd be like, Fat Albert? Dumb Donald? We can't do that. But that's the thing. It wasn't that Fat Albert was fat and everybody made fun of him because he was fat. He was just a very good guy who just happened to be overweight.
Yeah, the word fat isn't used as a derogative. It's kind of used as an objective truth.
It's just an objective adjective. Yeah.
And, it's like, boom, he's fat. Like, but everybody loves and respects him. That's the other thing with this show. Never have I ever, not much afterwards ever, but even before, seeing somebody fat portrayed that way, with dignity, with respect. Usually fat people are described as being stupid or dumb. He's very wise. Like, it goes against that kind of stereotype that we would have been subjected before. And, they do something really good with that, and I think that's one of the many, many strengths of this show is they don't judge books by cover. They, just a great moral center about it. And it's not even like, usually if you get a show like this, you'd go, it's paid by, fundamental Christians. This is a non-religious show.
Yeah.
That just teaches very good morals.
Yeah. The second episode we watched, it's the Filmation did something every once in a while called We Killed the Friggin' Kid episode. And this is the We Killed the Friggin' Kid episode of Fat Albert. It's called Gang War. And you texted me after you watched this episode and said, wow, that was dark. And it is. It is an incredibly dark episode.
Especially the scene.
Yeah, we meet a kid named Fernando whose brother is pressuring him to join his gang. Now, it is presented in a very Saturday morning cartoon kind of way. I mean, the gang members
couldn't look any cuter if they tried.
Yeah. Fernando couldn't look any cuter. The leader of the gang is white, and they look like they're about to walk down the street. Yeah, that's the kind of gang we're talking about. But it is an episode that is just washing with consequences because they do this absolute angel cherub baby who is funny and everybody loves him, Fernando,
Yeah,
is literally gunned down in front of the camera. You see
they
his
could have.
dead body fall to the flippin' floor, cradled by his brother, and he says, "My brother is dead. They shot my brother. My brother got killed." You know, those three things you can't say on Saturday morning cartoons. They said them because it was a public service announcement. But again,
And
it's just so damn good.
what's also brilliant about the scene is the fact that you're dealing with a moment of murder with a gun. You can't show the gun going off in a cartoon. So they brilliantly frame it in such a way that you see the big brother, you see him in slow-mo running, you hear the shot, you never see it, but then you see him collapse and you see a smoking gun.
Yeah.
And to me, I was like, oh, wow, that's how you got around it. Because how else do you show that? And at the same time, with being forced to make those choices, it makes a really powerful moment. Which is like, you purposely made this kid the most popular, the best looking kid. Everything is going for him, and then you popped him one.
It's I think this is one of the only times I ever remember Fat Albert becoming enraged also.
Oh, yeah.
It's the only time I remember him losing his cool and getting angry with someone.
Yeah.
And you know what? Justified. Absolutely justified. I
tried
wanted Fat Albert to
too,
pick him
eh?
up and just start punching him at one point.
Well,
How
he
dare
tried.
you?
Like,
How dare you?
and then he didn't even just try once. They could have just showed him trying to stop it once. Multiple times in the episode, he is trying to avert what
Yeah.
he knows is inevitably coming. It is, it sticks too. Like, you got to remember that cartoon was probably made 75, 76 when they produced that episode. Wow. No, we're watching this thing almost 50 years later and going, that's powerful. That's really powerful.
Yeah, and
They would never make this episode today, which is really sad.
Yeah, the speech that Fat Albert gives is
At the funeral?
genuinely heartfelt. You know, I just thought
Yeah.
you were all supposed to be listening to a really funny, really nice guy right now, but instead I'm standing here in front of you crying. Oh my God, Fat Albert, shut up.
All I know is
How
wherever
dare
Fat
you.
Albert lives, the funeral services are excellent because
Yep.
that funeral was the next day.
Yeah.
Yesterday.
I don't think it was a funeral. I think they were just dedicating the park.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
right. They were. They were.
Yeah.
They were dedicating the park. But great episode. And you can see why this thing was on. Well, it's playing somewhere around the world right now, right? On
Yeah, it's
some
gotta be.
obscure
It's gotta
channel
be.
somewhere. It's got to be. But we have
Los
one more episode.
Alberto Gordo.
Hey.
Ja, ja, ja. Our last episode that we watched was the last episode of the series, and it's called The Attitude of Gratitude. And I think that this is a very appropriate series finale, actually, I think. Because we have an entire series of Fat Albert giving advice to people and helping them, and the last episode is Fat Albert's friends coming together to help him. And I thought that is such a great way to wrap it all up. I don't know if this was purposely the last episode or if it's just a coincidence, but I think this was the perfect way to end the series.
Yeah, I'm not sure either if it was meant to or not. I call it the Sopranos finale, this one, because it ends like the Sopranos, just in the middle of. We start the series in the middle of their lives. We leave the series in the middle of their thing. There's no real finality to it, and I think it's excellent. And you're right, the message in this is, and which is again such good storytelling back then, because didn't every one of the episodes, including this one, didn't you go, that's a good message for today?
Yeah.
Like, don't be a liar. A liar gets you nowhere, gets you in a lot of trouble. Everyone gets caught. All right. Second one, don't be involved in gangs. Well, gangs are still a thing in some parts of the world. And then, don't overwork yourself. Something that happens to a lot of people today.
Yep. And if
he's a people pleaser, Fat Albert.
Yeah, and if a friend needs you, step up.
Step up. Yeah, and they don't judge Fat Albert for being a people pleaser, because you could get critical at Fat Albert and go, hey, dude, sometimes you got to say no, and that could be a weakness of him. But instead of that, they focus on help solving the problem, which I thought was
And
kind of
again, Fat Albert, he gets irritated sometimes, but he never like out and out gets mad. He never does any of that. My cat just tried to bite my hand. What are you doing? Oh, hold on, come here. There she is. Okay. So Fat Albert never really gets like mad. He gets a little bit irritated, but I thought that it was very interesting that instead of ending this episode on the moral that you should help a friend who needs help, especially somebody who helps you, Fat Albert turns around and says, "Mom, you're amazing. How do you do it all?" I just thought, wow, surprise moral. I like that. Respect your mother.
Yeah.
She feeds you. You will die without her.
Yeah. It's just a shame now that the show is polluted with the filth of the maker, because stand alone, if you're able to separate it, this is a show that I can't, but if I had a grandkid around that age, you'd be tempted to go, if I could somehow just edit him out, maybe I'll replace his head with Denzel Washington or something.
Morgan Freeman.
Yeah.
Fat Albert has certainly learned a good lesson today.
Well, Morgan Freeman
Don't join gangs or they will kill a freaking kid.
They worked together on that other show.
The Electric Company.
The Electric Company. Yeah. There you go. So yeah, fantastic show. But yeah, unfortunately, I don't think you'd be showing it to any youngsters these days because of.
But you know what? It's on YouTube anytime you want it, every single episode. So
And
you know what?
By the way, great quality too.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah, like excellent quality.
Sit down, watch Fat Albert, and it's like memory lane. Like your synapses will start like flaring, going, I remember this. And then you remember like your grandmother picking you up and kissing you. You remember the taste of the lemon bars your mother used to make. You remember the feeling of just exhilaration when your dad came home and you ran to go jump into his arms. It's like your childhood coming back in 4D, and I love it.
Yeah, it's great. It is. It's a real comfort blanket. It's just it's a wonderful show, and it certainly intrigued to Generation X. It's difficult for us in this situation because he's like, that man was a big part of, like I said, a long period of our childhood. So, but either way, I'm glad this thing exists. It was made by multiple people, of course. And wow, I was shocked to know that it ran for so long, Jason. That was the other thing that shocked me. I always have this weird memory where I think like things went on for 7 seasons and they only did 1 season of that. And then, shows like this, I think, oh, they did a couple of seasons. No, they did what? 8 seasons.
8 seasons, yeah.
Starting from the mid-70s and finished off in 84, 85 seasons. So it went all the way through to the mid-80s, which I was a bit shocked at too. I thought it finished a little bit earlier than that, but there you go. Wonderful show. Absolute one of the pinnacles in Filmation. So that's great. I'm really glad we got to talk about the show. I forget it's a Filmation show. I really do.
It seems so different than the rest of them. I mean, yeah, you have the recycled animation and everything, but at the same time, there's so much personality to it.
It is visually very unique to itself, and which I think is great. They made a feature film, Fat Albert. I never saw it. Did you?
I did.
With Kenan Thompson.
It was well intentioned, but I just don't think it worked.
Yeah.
I wanted to like it more than what I did. I'd probably go and rewatch it again.
He's great. He's perfect casting.
Oh, Kenan is great. I love the guy.
He's on season 75 of SNL at the moment.
Hey, you know what? Dude's carrying that show.
He is
carrying that show. He's like
come out and said, and I love him because he's come out and also said, I'm never retiring. I'm going to stay on it until they kick me off.
Hey, you know what? Do it.
Do
it. Whenever he retires, whenever he gets kicked off, the show just needs to end right there.
Yeah, it does.
So
anyway, there you go. That was fun.
Yes, that was fun. And of course, we will be back in a few weeks because we are going to be taking a look at, because I don't know if you've been watching on the VHS Vault, we have been covering Superman films in anticipation of James Gunn's Superman Legacy. Are they even calling it Superman Legacy anymore? I have no
I don't
idea.
know. I feel like they're just calling it Superman now.
Yeah. So anyway, the James Gunn Superman movie that's coming out, we are doing a retrospective of those films. But of course, there's more than just films. There is Filmation, and Filmation did not one but several Superman TV shows. One of which was The New Adventures of Superman, which we will be looking at next time. So be sure to join us. Will it be great, or will it be like kryptonite? Or in this case, craptonite? We will find out. Ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoy Filmation Spotlight or any of the other wonderful series that we do here on the Jason Roy Gaston channel, please visit the YouTube video description below to check out our Patreon. Give us a small pittance if you would, please, sir. I would like some more. You can also become a YouTube channel member by visiting our main page, and we would love to have you. We cherish our Patreons and our channel member. We cherish you so much. It's a love you will not get from anywhere else. Not from a mother, not from a wife, not from a secret lover. No one loves you more than Jason and Jason.
Love sucking up. That's
yeah.
Same, right?
And Battle Cat showing me her butt. Very impressive. Good girl. Good girl. All right. Until next time, whenever we go up and away, we're just going to say, hey, hey, hey.